Welcome to Can You STEM Without a Robot? My name's Darren Avery. I'm a STEM.T4L leader from the New South Wales DOE, and I am joined by
Andrew Bowser. I'm a STEM.T4L leader looking after the Regional North Operation Directorate.
And I'm Kelly Burke. I'm also a STEM.T4L leader. I'm located in the Snowy Mountains, and today I'll be presenting on how to incorporate STEM technologies into the K2 classroom without using robots. I'll also be available in the chat. So back to Darren.
First, we're going to start with our acknowledgement of country. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. We acknowledge the roles of elders past, present and future, and the importance of observing the cultures, customs and traditions of Aboriginal Australia. And we're meeting on lots of different lands today. Okay, so this is our agenda for the day. We're going to be just doing our introduction and our acknowledgement of country, which we have just completed. Then Kelly's going to be looking at infants applications. I'm going to be looking at the primary applications, and Andrew's going to be looking at the stage 3 in high school. And then we're going to have a bit of live Q&A at the end. So our presentation really looks at the consumers or creators. So we're going to be looking at the difference between ICT general capabilities and the digital technology strand. So we're really looking at the digital technology strand and the real thinking activities that are available in the lots of different applications we're going to show you. Our presentation is really underpinned by the design thinking process. So I'm sure you are aware of the design thinking process. It's been around for a little while now. It's also underpinned by the 4 C's of technology. And you can Google those, we don't need to explain those. We've got lots of other things to get through. And the 4 C's, these are the applications we are going to be looking at. As you can see there are quite a lot. So we're going to be going nice and quick. And my best advice for you is to get, once you've seen them, go in and have a play and explore them and then implement them into your school. We've chosen them because they are really user friendly. There isn't too much set up in the back end. You can really get in and you can really implement them in your school without too much trouble. And we're going to start with K2, and we're going to throw to Kelly now, and she's going to explore the Paint, Tinker, Bebot, a Bluebot, and some unplugged activities. So over to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Darren. We're going to be examining how we can actually run STEM activities in our kindergarten to year 2 classroom when we're not using robots. So first, let's have a look at the outcome we want students to be able to achieve by the end of year 2. It's all about sequencing instructions, those procedural texts that you're already writing, getting from point A to point B. We're introducing visual programming. Students are testing and evaluating. Today we framed the applications around the 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, communication, and of course collaboration, which overlays all the different applications. We'll be looking at coding applications such as Tinker and Bebot, 3D Paint, and Tool Creator. But first we're going to get started with some unplugged activities. So computational thinking is a problem-solving approach. Jeanette Wing defines computational thinking as the process involved in understanding a problem and expressing the solutions in a way that a human or a machine can carry out that task. With these unplugged activities, there's no need for any special equipment. There's already lots that you're already doing in your K2 classroom that is building the foundational knowledge for your students, such as writing procedural texts, recounts, sequencing events in order, such as the example that's on the screen. To reinforce computational key thinking concepts, you are organizing data and information logically. You're breaking down a problem into smaller parts, looking for patterns, modeling possible solutions, and you're designing and implementing algorithms. A great aspect about the unplugged activities is that there's no need for any specialized equipment. You're just using what's already in your classroom. Some ideas for incorporating unplugged coding activities are creating written instructions for Wombot. You can see Wombot on your screen here, and then sharing this with a friend to see if they can perform the task and navigate Wombot to the same end point. Students should also be documenting their understandings about computational thinking through items such as like reflective journals. You can see a sample on the screen here. Other ideas include breaking up a story into known parts, sequencing the steps needed to get ready for school, or in this case on the screen, the key components of a known story through the orientation, the complication, and the resolution. So students have sequenced that story in order. You can also introduce the concept of binary numbers to students. I've used the code that you see on the screen here to represent binary, and we've made our own binary bracelets. So there's a whole range of activities that you can be doing in your classroom to support that computational thinking without the need for any specialized equipment. Let's take a look at Bluebot. So Bluebot, you might be familiar with Beebot. Beebot's that yellow robot. Bluebot is the upgraded version. But what I want to let you in on is something that you might not be aware of. You can actually use the Bluebot app without the robot. So it's a perfect opportunity for students to be able to practice those same skills in computational thinking with the just using an app and no robot. So here on the screen, you can see the students are using a grid. And this is perfect for building those computational skills and making a plan with how to get from point A to point B. They're needing to break down the problem into smaller chunks. It makes it more manageable that way. For our younger students, this presents opportunities to consolidate key mathematical skills, such as one-to-one correspondence, the characters moving one square at a time. One press on the arrow relates to moving forward one spot. Positional language, left and right, forwards and backwards, and so forth. Plus, one of the biggest things for younger students is how changing their orientation changes the instructions that they would give. So there are often, through discovery, the students find that there's multiple solutions to the same problem. So students get opportunities through these types of activities to work with others and practice effective communication, giving and following instructions, taking turns. Throughout this, they're learning that an algorithm is just a set of instructions that you provide to complete a task. You can see examples of this on the screen where students are using directional cards, such as the little arrows, to create a plan. They've used a whiteboard and whiteboard marker, and they've recorded the steps for a dance that they've choreographed, so somebody else could join in. A great activity to assist students with helping recall the main events from a story is also story mapping. This is a great activity to be able to do in an unplugged environment. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at the Bluebot app itself. So remember, this is a standalone app that you can just install on your iPads. And what's great is you can actually, you've got different levels of algorithms that can be incorporated into the application. You can have your own custom maps. You've even got a camera, so you can import local areas. So students start by building steps one by one. They can test their algorithm, test their theory. Did they get to the right spot? Moving from one cone to another in this example. There are built-in challenges which reinforce the idea of getting from point A to point B. The custom maps allow students to integrate and build sophisticated algorithms. There's actually a loop function built into this app. You've also got the pencil, which is great for keeping track of exactly where your Bluebot has been moving on the map. So I really love the fact that you can actually use this Bluebot app without the need for the actual physical robot. Students still get this same opportunity to engage in those problem-solving tasks and apply their computational thinking skills. That kind of brings us into moving into other coding applications such as Scratch Junior and Tinker. So coding is a really important part of the digital technologies strand that you'll find in the science and technology syllabus. But what I love about these applications is they can be incorporated into many other aspects of learning, which allows students to create products that can be shared beyond their classroom with an authentic audience. So examples of the platforms that work well, particularly in the K-2 classroom, include Scratch Junior, a standalone iPad app where students can drag and drop sort of picture blocks really that show represent the code. That same sort of theory that we've built on from the Bluebot app. So they're just creating that sequence for their animation. The other one is Tinker, which is an app that can actually be used in any web browser on a desktop, or there is an app that you can download for iPads and Android devices as well. So coding really allows students to develop creative solutions, which is an aspect I really love in the K-2 classroom. And these are a perfect example of digital multimodal text types. So they can be used to create, an idea or an understanding on pretty much any topic that you might be covering. Let's have a look at an example from a K-2 classroom. So in this sample, the students have drawn a picture for Grandparents' Day, and they've overlaid a little animation from Tinker, and on the screen you'll be able to see the photo that's been uploaded. You can see the digital character, and you can also see the code on the side, and you can see it looks pretty complicated. It's a long sequence, but really it's a logical sequence. It starts at the top and it's going to work its way through to the bottom. So it really by dragging and dropping, all we're doing is we're alternating. Students will really easily be able to see there's a pattern there to what's happening. There's an animation followed by the speech bubble for this character, which brings now this, picture to life. The best thing about this is this can now be shared beyond the classroom through a URL link that students can provide to their grandparents. Which I think is kind of perfect considering, our current times. If it's a great tool to be able to allow your classroom community to remain connected. So some other ideas for implementing coding activities across your classroom could be, exploring 2D, 3D shapes, creating those maps, and, animating stories. I love to do like a joke because that's great for dialogue when you're introducing speech concepts. So you've got two characters and you can code it back and forth, very similar to the example you just saw. And, animating and bringing, historical events to life as well, animating a life cycle. So perfect really as a tool to be able to communicate and share their understandings on topics as well. So let's have a look at Tour Creator. So Tour Creator is a virtual reality technology, but this is a web-based application which taps into that power of creativity. It's, web-based. The finished virtual reality tours can be shared easily via a URL to any device that has a web browser, or you can actually view it in, 360 virtual reality as well. So it has a variety of built-in templates, which make it really easy to get started without having any special equipment, not even, a 360 camera. It also has access to Google Street View images, which means you can really make those connections in the K-2 classroom to those local areas of significance, which is a big part of the geography syllabus. So it's really perfect for creating those connections. I really love it because, the engagement that students have in the classroom, it really ignites their curiosity on a topic as well. The example on the screen you can see here is a couple of quick snaps from students who were linking Tour Creator back to their virtual reality. They they were creating a virtual reality experience in Tour Creator based upon the National Simultaneous Storytime book this year, which was Chicken Divas. And the students had a great time recreating key scenes, including where Whitney and Brittany put on their bling and head off to party. So this now has been uploaded. Students have been able to add their own custom narrations. They've been able to sequence the key events, and now it's a product that can be shared with their parent community, which is a really nice way to be able to engage an authentic audience. So we're going to round out K-2 STEM technologies with Paint 3D. You're probably familiar with Paint already, and Paint 3D is the latest iteration, which allows you to create 3D objects. Perfect for those self-portraits. I know I used to spend a lot of time with my kindergarten class in applications like Paint, because it allowed them to develop those mouse skills, the fine motor, learning about clicking on icons. So I think Paint 3D is the newest, obviously latest version, which gives you another layer with being able to create 3D objects. So in this example, you can see on the screen at the moment, students were creating examples of living creatures that they found in the local in their schoolyard. Then in Paint 3D, they recreated them, which is a really cool. Whoops, you can see there's a bit of you can tweak and edit, just like you would a normal item on your screen. Lots of opportunities, and because you're working with 3D objects, it's really good for looking at perspective. Orientation as well comes into it, because it might look correct from one perspective, change it, and just like with that example, you could see it didn't work. But what the students did is, once they'd saved their creation, they actually exported it and used the mixed reality viewer that's built in on their laptops to go and place their 3D insects out in the local environment. So it was a great, they could sort of talk about different habitats that this insect, in this case the ladybird, might like. Here it is sitting on some rose bushes they found. But what a cool tool for being able to engage and communicate with their understandings. So that's Paint 3D. Yep. One of the other great things is there's a variety of ways that you can actually export out of Paint 3D. So you saw the mixed reality, which is a form of augmented reality where you're overlaying into the real world, and they've just done a little bit of video capture there to be able to keep that footage. The other exports that you can actually export straight into PowerPoint, which is really neat. So you see the example of a horse there. And also you can actually export your models for 3D printing. So what a cool tool that is really accessible to K-2 students. So I'm going to hand over to Darren now. And Darren's going to take us through primary.
Thanks, Kelly. So I'm going to be looking at the primary applications today, and these are my applications I'm going to be looking at. So I'm going to be looking at WeVideo, Tinkercad, and CoSpaces, and they are fantastic applications, all websites, as well as apps on the iOS devices, and they really get into the stage 3 outcomes, and really the students can get in and flesh out their problems and design solutions, which is really what we want our students to do. So the first application I am going to be looking at is CoSpaces, and CoSpaces is a fantastic website and app on the iOS device that really lets students explore the world of AR and VR. So that's augmented reality and virtual reality. So the students can really create a million different things. They can really get in and create some exciting worlds. So when we go in, I'm going to do a bit of a demo soon. We really want you to, I'm really going to point out the gallery, the classes, the CoSpaces, and how you can really use this in your classroom, or how, if you are a leader in your school, you can get the teachers to use this without too much issue, and you'll be surprised at how quickly the students pick it up and how much they really enjoy it. So I am now going to demo this, and I'm going to show you some of the cool features and how to implement it in the classroom. Okay, so when we get into CoSpaces, we just log in using our Google Education login, and this is our dashboard. And the really first place you should start with your if you're a teacher is the little question mark over here. And you've got tutorials which will show you how to use the app with your students. There's a forum where you can ask questions, but I really like the resource section. And the resource section has lots of information and lots of lessons to get you started. But you can explore those in your own time. When you open CoSpaces, I have the free version. There is a paid version that you can use. The free version comes with this world here. And this world, if I open it up, will show you and your students how to use all of the features in CoSpaces. And it's a great first couple of lessons there. And you can see I'm just moving it around, and it's got all of the instructions for me and for my students. So it's really a great resource to get you started. And the students love, if I press the little play button here, you'll see my creatures are moving, and the students love that. So that's where I would start if I am doing this with my students. So what are the things you can actually create in CoSpaces? So with CoSpaces, there are 3 different things you can really do with your lessons. So I have the 360 view here. So I use a 360-degree camera, take an image, and then I can import different characters, and I can animate those characters as well as code those characters. So you've got coding here, so you can really make some fantastic things using CoSpaces. You can do instructional animations, you can do stories, you can do instructional videos, heaps of cool things there. Coding is really easy. It's using a block coding, which most students are used to in things like Tinker and Scratch. And it's as simple as putting the characters in. If you could play, you can imagine your students will be really excited using something like this. So that's the first type. The second type is virtual worlds, and virtual worlds are things like gaming, first person, retelling stories, lots of cool different things, and that's a bigger presentation. But we're going to go through some of these other things here. If you are looking for some ideas, we have the gallery. And the gallery is great. It's broken down into topic areas, and really great for showing your students and some ideas, and really a great little resource. For setting up for teachers, you have the classes. It's really easy on-ramp. You just press create class. With the free version, you get 30 licenses, and your students just press join class, and they join your class really easily. So that's CoSpaces in a nutshell. I've got a couple of examples. I'm just going to go back to my presentation now, and I am going to show you. And so this is just the first example. As I said, I took 360-degree image and put some characters in it. Really quite easily done, and it's quite a fun activity. Something like this is a virtual world where you move through the world using controls, and you can change the point of view, and it's a really great animation tool. And lastly, as I said before, the coding is what is really powerful in this application as well. So it's a great on-ramp. This is an example here that Prairie Vale Public School, if you get a chance, go onto YouTube and you can Google it. They did a fantastic animation of all their PBL values, and if you're not sure what PBL values are, they're sort of like social skills, and the school created the animations, and it's using the school settings, and it's quite a cool little thing to have a look at if you get a chance. All right, so that's CoSpaces. If you get a chance, get in and explore it, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to use. The next application I am going to be looking at is Tinkercad, and Tinkercad is a 3D design software. It is free. It is on the iOS device as well as a website, and it's a great resource. 3D design, not just 3D printing, but also the design process. So this is what I'm going to be looking at when I log in. This is my dashboard, and we're going to go through some of the resources that are available and where to start if you are a teacher. Okay, so I'm going to go into Tinkercad now and show you some of those cool features.
So Darren, with Tinkercad, how would you envision that students have been using this product throughout New South Wales?
A lot of schools are using it with our 3D printing kit, which is fantastic. So they're actually designing and printing in 3D, which is fantastic. But you can also use it for a lot of design, other things, just designing and sharing with virtual reality, which I'm going to show you right now. So we're going to look at some of the features in Tinkercad right now. As a teacher, I'm quite experienced with 3D printing, but if you're trying to implement it in your school and you have teachers that are a bit wary, this is a great place to start, is the Teach section. So the Teach section has lesson plans, it has ideas, it has resources for you to help you get started. So the teachers can feel, yes, I'm backed up. I've got, if I get stuck, I can go and have a look at some of this stuff. I've also got the blog, which is another area that you can look at that will give you some ideas, and it's constantly evolving and the resources are being updated, which is fantastic. We have the Learn section, which is the real guts of this Tinkercad website, and it gives you everything you need to start 3D design with your classes. And it's not just 3D printing, it's also about the design process. We've got the starters, which is really, if you have never done any 3D printing before, it will show you how to do simple things like just moving blocks, adding numbers, adding all sorts of cool things to your designs. And then it graduates to lessons, which are structured and the students actually make a product. For example, things they can use in the classroom. So I've got luggage tags, I've got rulers, things that you can then print up. Fantastic. And then you go to the projects, and the projects are really great if you have classes that are of different abilities, and we all tend to have classes of students with different abilities. They can all be working independently, and you can be going around and monitoring it, and the students get real satisfaction out of creating designs in Tinkercad. And it's a really easy on-ramp, really easy to monitor, because you can go into classes and you can create a class quite easily, add your students, and you can monitor what they are doing, and you can print their resources if you're lucky enough to have a 3D printer, or you can share their designs. And with the sharing of designs, I'm going to go through that now in my presentation, and then I'll show you some of the ways you can share those.
Now, does Tinkercad work with any 3D printer?
Yes, download the universal file is the STL file. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the presentation now, and I'm going to show you those STL files, Andrew. So these are our options of exporting the things we are designing, and that's the real process. It's not just 3D printing, it's designing. And the first type, we have OBJ, STL, a GLTF, which is a new one, and it's very similar to an OBJ file, and the last one, which is the SVG. So the STL file is the universal printing file for 3D printers. Each 3D printer has their own software, and if you're lucky enough to have a 3D printer, you will be able to download the software that goes with that. This is the first example here, and it's a student who has created their own toy, and they've decided they couldn't find this toy anywhere in the shops, and they've decided to create their own toy, and the student is very happy about that there. So that is really cool, and the students really love those sorts of things. The next type is the SVG file, and you'll see here that it actually is something you can print on a 2D printer. It's used as blueprints, it's used for presentations, and the students here are using it as the blueprints for their design of rockets, which is fantastic. So you don't need any special resources. These are just using a normal 2D printer. And the last type is the OBJ file, and you'll see I've combined Tinkercad and CoSpaces here, and I have downloaded my Tinkercad house and put it into my CoSpace as well.
So because it's a 3D model, you can take the models from one application and put them into another?
Exactly right. So it works with CoSpaces, it works with 3D Paint, which Kelly mentioned earlier, and you can even do it in a virtual augmented reality where you can bring your 3D designs into the real world. So real world applications, I'm sure you can think of plenty. I don't know, I think Andrew's got a similar example in his Minecraft presentation. So the last one, which I think is a really cool real world application, is one of our fellow colleagues has worked at his school. It had a farm really close to it, and one of the poor chickens had a leg that was not quite working as it should. So his class has designed prosthetics, and they chose the best one for the chicken. So that's a real world application, and you can imagine how rewarding that was for the students to solve that problem. So that's Tinkercad, an amazing resource and quite easy, and lots of help on that website to get you started in 3D design. So the next one I'm going to go to is WeVideo. And WeVideo is fairly new to us in the DOE, and it's a great resource for sharing what you are doing throughout the world, and really things like screen recording, all done online. And my favorite thing about this is the fact it is online, it is in the cloud. If you are doing BYOD and you are sharing iPads and computers, you're forever losing things. In the cloud, easy, the students can access their resources quite easily. So when we actually go in, I'm going to show you a couple of things in WeVideo, but these are the things I am going to concentrate on. But this is the dashboard. We're going to go look at some of the features that are in WeVideo and some of the things you can do to really make your presentations pop. And I'm sure you can use this and lots of your STEM activities. It is really, again, it's an online platform which is fantastic for not losing things, which I absolutely love. This is the interface which we're going to get in and have a look at. I'm going to look at those things at the top there, again, to make your presentations pop.
Now you could use WeVideo to make a video about Tinkercad or GoSpaces.
Exactly right. Really great because it has that screen sharing function. It has, if you're using the cameras in the devices, and to me, again, I can't emphasize enough. You won't be losing things. They'll be going to the cloud, and you also have the option of exporting as SD right up to full HD. You can import to YouTube. You can import to your Google Drive, and you can also import to the cloud. And you can really customize what you're using it for. So I'm going to do a live demo now, and I'm going to go in and show you some of these features. And while I'm doing that, I'm sure you can think of some really great things you can do with WeVideo.
Yeah, absolutely. We always see schools doing amazing things with their students, but if they're having Chromebooks or sometimes they have iPads or sometimes they have PCs, the diversity of devices is different. So it's great to have a product that lives in the browser.
Exactly right. And as I said, it's great to, as Andrew was mentioning, it's great to see what we're doing in schools, and we should be really sharing that with the wider audience. So this is your dashboard. And as I said earlier, you've got video, you've got recording, which is actually a recording of what you're doing on the screen or doing through the camera. You can even create GIFs, which I know will engage a lot of students in the schools. And something that's really popular recently is podcasts. And you can even do podcasts on this app. So it's fantastic. So I'm just going to show you some of the videoing features that are on it. So we're going to get in and we're going to have a look, and this is sort of the working table that you have here. It's all drag and drop. Some of the features I really like about this that you have the option of importing your own videos, but you also have some of the, there's lots of different text types. You have music that is available. I know when I was recording in schools, finding music for your videos that is not copyrighted is really hard. So you've got music, you've got sound effects as well, which is amazing. But you've also got, if I go across to the video section, if you're doing green screening, I know green screening is really popular in schools at the moment, you have lots of different backgrounds here, and they're video backgrounds, which is really hard to find on the web, and getting resources that are copyright free that you can then use in your classroom. So a lot of great uses for this, I am sure. But again, you're not going to have to go in this and think, oh, what am I going to do with it? There are lots of great resources available in WeVideo.
I find it a great way to get started in terms of learning how to do video production with your students as well.
Yep, it's really amazing. So if I just go back to the start, I'm going to show you where some of those great resources are. So you have the education section. As I said, WeVideo is fairly new to us in the Department of Education, but it's also new for education in general. And you'll see down here, they have lots of templates and things that you can actually use in your classroom. And there's a blog, which is fantastic. And it's got pages and pages of examples that you can use as hook events with your students, but also you can use in the classroom. So that is WeVideo, very briefly, very quickly, but I advise you to get in and have a look at that because it is a great resource for sharing and making quality video. So I'm just going to go back to my presentation now. And
especially in this day and age where video seems to be king in terms of gathering learning for evidence and sharing that with the community of schools and the local community of that school.
Okay, so I'm going to throw over to Andrew now, and he's going to do some of the applications that go from stage 3 right through to high school.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Darren. Welcome to our stage 3 to high school, where we're going to be looking at two particular products, Minecraft Education Edition and Microsoft Make Code. Now, Darren and I are huge fans of the 4 C's, as Darren was mentioning at the start of the presentation: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. Now, these two products that I'm about to discuss for stage 3 and beyond encompass all of those 4 C's, especially critical thinking, collaboration, we're a huge fan of in the 21st century, communication, look, every relationship can't be successful without one, and of course, our creativity. What would we be in a world without creativity? So, we have one of the best products to emphasise those 4 C's, and Minecraft Education Edition might be the product just for you. We use Minecraft Education Edition in 4 main areas in the Department of Education. The first one, we like to explore real-life buildings. Minecraft allows you to take students on tours of buildings that no longer exist. So you could be going, for example, to the Roman Colosseum, or maybe Darren is taking students to the RMS Titanic, which we all know is at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But using the power of Minecraft Education Edition, there are pre-made worlds for you to take students on virtual tours, so students can learn about things that no longer exist in the real world. Second thing that we like to do in Minecraft Education Edition, there's plenty of numeracy activities embedded within the program. So it's not all about construction and building. We have plenty of worlds like Addition World, Subtraction World. We also have worlds where students have to design their own theme parks and roller coasters. Now, Darren, you might be asking, how does mathematics come in when designing your own theme park and roller coasters? Well, they have to look at gradients, slopes, they have to look at angles and degrees, because you don't want that roller coaster to be too steep or too flat. All right. Plenty of numeracy activities are built into Minecraft Education Edition. However, we also emphasise the aspect of collaboration, having students help solve each other's problems, whether they're multiplication problems or division problems, that we can use spatial awareness to emphasise these problems in a 3D environment. Second, lastly, we like to discuss about survival. So if you're looking at stage 4, 5 or 6, very topical at the moment is space exploration, especially going to Mars. We like to turn on things like food and health, survival elements such as shelter and collaboration to survive on an exoplanet, especially when we're looking at companies like SpaceX and NASA looking at colonising new planets. This is a great way to run some real-life simulations in the comfort of your own classroom.
Do I need any special devices to use Minecraft? Or
No, look, Minecraft can be used across a number of different devices. We have iPads available, we have PCs, and now we've just released a new update that will allow Minecraft to run on Chromebooks. So as long as you have an internet connection, you pretty much are set to run Minecraft Education Edition. It doesn't cost anything. It's supplied by the Department of Education. All that you have to do is apply for it. I'm going to show you exactly where to find some more information on Minecraft Education Edition. Lastly, visualization and reading comprehension. Plenty of literacy tools are built into Minecraft Education Edition. We have plenty of pre-made worlds such as Fairy Tales Reimagined, or maybe the immersive reader to increase accessibility and the diversity of the learning needs for students. We can design whole essays in Minecraft Education Edition using the book and quill, or maybe we're taking visual evidence using the camera tool within Minecraft. It has plenty of opportunities for numeracy, literacy, and real-life virtual tours. Now, what I'm going to show you is how students have been utilising Minecraft in the real world. Now, it's great to use in a digital context, but what happens if you could take some of those learnings from Minecraft Education Edition and pull them out and put them in the real world? What you're going to see right here is students did exactly that. They were sick of their stinky toilet block that they had in their high school, so they decided to design a brand new one using Minecraft Education Edition. And you'll notice it's the little details, Darren, sometimes that counts. Like maybe the flowers outside the toilet block to get rid of some of those, those odours that they have in there. But once they designed their toilet block, they had to spend a whole aspect of their time in mapping, surveying, and determining where that toilet block would particularly work best. I love this one. It comes with a free horse in this edition that these students have designed. But how does this come about? Well, in Minecraft Education Edition, we can actually take the product or the creation, the 3D models, as you're referring to before, and put them in the real world, okay, using augmented reality. So it isn't exactly there, but using the power of AR and a lens, we can actually simulate what the model would look like in the real world. However, maybe you were designing something that will have some kind of video application. So you can also export models for 3D demonstrations. So this student, for example, is studying architecture of the 1970s in their international studies topic, and they actually made this lovely house inspired by some of the designs of the 1970s. And they've captured that model in Minecraft and then exported that as a video file. And I'm going to quickly play that video file so you can see their final product. Wasn't that beautiful?
It's amazing.
1960s, 1970s. I'm just a big fan of 1970s. But you can see the amazing application of exporting a model, putting it into the real world, or maybe you're creating a video to put in a presentation. So, We also have some coding aspects that are built into Minecraft Education Edition. So we have the code builder aspect where you can use Microsoft MakeCode, Tinker, or Python to do some amazing aspects in coding, especially if you're trying to get students to jump into the world of computational thinking and algorithms and linear code. Minecraft might be one of the best places to start. Not only do students understand what the product is, but it also entices them to gamify the learning experience. Now, I love using the coding aspect in Minecraft Education Edition because it's not all about creating. Sometimes it's about teaching students how to program, and we know how important that is in this day and age in the 21st century, especially developing those enterprise skills. But it doesn't stop there. We also have plenty of scientific add-ons that we add into Minecraft Education Edition, such as the chemistry update. So if you're doing some science in your classroom, why don't you jump into the scientific update and do the atom materializer, the deconstructing of elements, or maybe you're trying to determine how many protons, electrons, and neutrons a particle of water has, for example. You can see the periodic table of elements, and you can pretty much do anything with the chemistry update in Minecraft Education Edition. Lastly, let's just say that you want to use Minecraft as a visual tool. We have plenty of examples of that as well. In this particular example, students had to supply a deliverable report on historical significance of a particular event. In this case, they were taking a music example where they recreated a famous cover from an album. I don't know if you've ever heard of the band The Beatles, Darren?
Yes.
But they had to explore those elements
Many
there.
students might have, but I definitely have. Yes.
Reconstruct the album covers. If you want to have some kind of music element, you can basically see the expansion of diversity that you can do in Minecraft Education Edition. Everything from languages to music to literacy to numeracy. There's really no stone left unturned using Minecraft Education Edition. Lastly, I would like to show this student's piece of work. So let's just say we want to get a little bit practical when you're using Minecraft as a tool to support the design and the creativity of students. In this example, a student actually made their very own birdhouse in Minecraft, exported that model into a 3D file, like an STL, exactly what you were discussing before. And then they went to the P&C, got approval for funding, took that to the TAS department in their school, and they physically constructed the birdhouse. Now, this birdhouse that you can see on screen isn't a real birdhouse. It's an AR model of the birdhouse, part of the prototype design, but the student did actually design that birdhouse. Then they had to go out and pick the trees, work out the size and the ratios and the dimensions of that birdhouse, and that birdhouse still exists in that school to this day, and I think they're going to design 3 or 4 more. You can imagine for kids dropping food.
Amazing learning. So much incidental learning there, costings, all those sorts of things, and it's just Minecraft is just a fantastic tool to be used in the classroom.
Absolutely. And if you want to get started in Minecraft Education Edition, I'm going to jump out of our presentation right now and go to the Minecraft Education Edition website, the Australian landing page in particular, and show you where you could find some more information.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of Minecraft in the school. It's not just that you are going to be, here's Minecraft, and you're just sort of stuck with it. There is so many resources, and the Minecraft website is just fantastic, and Andrew's going to show you some of the great resources that I actually have used in the classroom, and it's made my life much easier.
Absolutely. Now, to get started, go to education.minecraft.net/Australia, and that will take you to the Australian landing page of Minecraft Education Edition. So if you're a teacher or even a student getting started for the very first time, this will supply you with all of the resources that you will need and training to get you started using Minecraft Education Edition. Plenty of PDFs, videos, and downloadable content for you to really start making some engaging, fun, and interactive classes for your school. Now we're going to jump back to my presentation. We're going to have a look at our very last topic for Stage 3 and beyond, Microsoft MakeCode, which also has been utilised in Minecraft Education Edition itself. So let's jump to our presentation, and we're going to have a look at the lovely Microsoft MakeCode. Now, Darren, you can do coding in Minecraft Education Edition, but you can also go to the MakeCode website and do some amazing coding aspects there as well.
MakeCode is a fantastic website, and I know our presentation is not about robots, but there is lots of robots you can code using MakeCode as well that Andrew will sort of show you, as well as some of the unrobotic coding
I like that. Unrobotic. I'm going to make that a word. So, if you don't have any hardware within your school, MakeCode's a great place to start. You can code using hardware. However, you can also do some amazing coding abilities with your students without proper hardware itself. So, what is MakeCode? It's a free open source coding platform for creating engaging computer science learning experiences that support a progression path into real world programming. Now, I'm a huge fan of MakeCode. I use MakeCode on a daily basis, especially when I go into schools. But it teaches students some real core concepts about computational thinking. So everything from sprites to loops to logic to variables, even mathematics, so you've got your numeracy elements built into MakeCode. So if you don't have any hardware, not a problem. We actually have a subsidiary of MakeCode on the website called MakeCode Arcade, where students can design and develop their very own arcade titles, which I think is a great form of doing it because it gamifies the learning
engagement
experience.
straight away.
Especially if you're trying to get students that have never coded before, it can be very overwhelming. But once you kind of embed that into a gamified experience, you'll have them all on board, I guarantee it.
And even though we've got MakeCode in the high school and stage 3, again, it's depending on your students, you can even do this with kindergarten right through. And it's a fantastic website resource that you can use pretty much all the way through from K to 12, I believe.
Absolutely. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to play you a quick overview demonstration video to get you up to speed on how to use MakeCode Arcade. Today is all about MakeCode Arcade. Microsoft MakeCode Arcade is a free, beginner-friendly, web-based coding editor that allows the creation of retro video games for the web or dedicated hardware. Head on over to arcade.makecode.com to get started. Here you'll find the landing page, which houses your projects, tutorials, sample block and Java programs, and a range of courses and lessons. Where you're going to start a new project. Give your project a name and you're good to go. Welcome to your workstation. Here's a quick breakdown. On the left is a simulator. This is where you can test out your code, reminiscent of an old school Game Boy. Below the simulator, there are some controls such as stop, restart, debug, mute, take a screenshot, and launch in full screen. In the middle are our coding blocks, divided up into coloured categories, and to the right is our workspace. You can easily click and drag the blocks onto the workspace to start building your very first program. However, there are some extra parts of the page that you should be aware of. This tab here will hide the simulator, providing more space to work. The bottom right contains undo and redo buttons in case you make a mistake, and next to that you have the zoom in and zoom out controls. The bottom left is where we have our save button and the name of the project. A download button if you want to test the game on real hardware, like this KittenBot for example. Finally, at the top, we have our home button to take you back to the MakeCode landing page, a share button to share your amazing project, a button that allows the user to convert their code from blocks to JavaScript in real time, a help button, and a setting button. And that's it! Now you have everything you need to know to get started with MakeCode Arcade. We will see you in the next one. All right, so I'm going to thank myself for making that video. Thank you, Andrew. So with MakeCode Arcade, you can see how easy it is to get started to jump in with your classroom. It doesn't cost anything, 100% free, and also like WeVideo, it's completely run on the browser. So you can use any device that you have within your school to get students started in MakeCode Arcade. All right, so lastly, I'm going to show you some quick demos from schools and then we're going to wrap this up. You can see right here, we've got a number of different projects that students have made that you could type that into your browser and check out some of their authentic projects. This one that you can see on the screen, Darren, this was all about preventing deforestation. So students basically had to pick an environmental theme and then they had to code that theme in a gamified way. So the little girl here has to stop the loggers from chopping down the trees and they had to do a report on deforestation. So you can see some of those great examples there, like putting out fire and raising awareness about fire safety, protecting the koalas that have been displaced since a fire, helping the wombat escape fires. They'll do in a bushfire safety aspect. But you can really incorporate MakeCode to any area of study. And of course, if you are in stage 4 or 5 and you're looking at general purpose coding that's not particularly focused around visual coding, you can also change MakeCode Arcade from visual block-based coding over to JavaScript and or Python. That way you can pretty much meet that general purpose coding requirement that we have in stage 4, and then you can scale that out. And what I love about this, Darren, is that if I'm confused about some of the code, I can actually jump back and have a look at what it looks like in a Blockly style of code.
Fantastic scaffolding.
Absolutely. Now, just to recap, you've seen some amazing things to change the way that you can STEM without a robot. Everything from Paint 3D to Bluebot to Tinkercad, and of course, Minecraft and MakeCode Arcade. So there are plenty of resources to get you started, and you don't need any hardware, which is why I love to STEM without a robot.
Fantastic. All of these applications are so easy to implement in your classroom. There isn't a huge amount of setup. Most of them are using the Google login or the Microsoft login. And again, you have that beauty of most of the resources being stored in the cloud, so you're not losing things. And so really, if you're implementing these sort of STEM changes in your school, these are some of the applications I would definitely start with.
Absolutely. And if you want to get in contact with us, the STEM.T4L program has plenty of social media connections for you to ask questions or maybe seek advice on any of these products, because we pretty much use all of these products within our program.
Definitely here to help you, especially if you're in the DOE. Feel free to reach out to us and we can support you in your journey with STEM.
Absolutely, we love supporting teachers. And lastly, if you have any questions or need any more information on anything that we've delivered today, head on over to t4l.link/edutech and of course education.nsw.gov.au. On behalf of Kelly Burke, Darren Avery and myself, Andrew Bowser, we thank you for watching our presentation on Can You STEM Without a Robot? And we'll see you in the next one.